everybody. Tonight is the AGM, which we're going to try and get through as quickly as we can, and then talk about some other things and some of the observations. We're going to hear the first in a series of short presentations by Randy about the history of the center, and we'll see how things go. So before we get, so what I'm going to do is do the welcome. I'm Mike Morrow. I'm the president of the I'm the current president. We'll see what happens in the election. Of the St. John's Centre of the Royal Astronomical Society of Canada. And what we're going to do is, there's probably an official parliamentary way to do this, but I'm basically going to put this meeting on hold in a minute and immediately go into the AGM. We'll run the AGM, and then at the end of the AGM, we'll restart this meeting. And if anybody actually knows parliamentary procedure, they can become president and do it right next time. So before we start, I'd like to acknowledge that the lands on which ourselves, members of the St. John Centre of the RASC, live and pursue our hobby are situated in the traditional territories of diverse Indigenous groups, and we acknowledge with respect the diverse histories and cultures of the Beothuk, Mi'kmaq, Innu, and Inuit of this province. Okay, so I'm going to now suspend our regular meeting and move into the AGM. We'll do the president's report, treasurer's report, the audit report, membership review, which will be Randy, committee reports, and then the election, and then we'll that'll wrap up the AGM. So, I hit escape and nothing happened here. Okay, there we are. Okay, so welcome to the 2024-2025 annual general meeting of the St. John Centre of the RASC. My name is Mike Morrow, blah, blah, blah. There's our agenda, which we just looked at. And so I'm going to go through the president's report first, and some of this we saw at the last meeting, some of the things that happened over the summer, so I'll try and go through that quickly, but it also talks about other things that have been going on in the center. So I'd like to start by thanking everyone on the executive and all members that have helped with events, enthusiastic and engaged support. You'll see as I go through, we've had a lot of activities this year that couldn't have happened without everybody's support. So thank you all very much. We had 10 meetings. So our year goes from October 1st to September 30th. And so the meetings we had in the last year in October, in addition to the annual general meeting, Doug Grushi did a talk about 2x54 binoculars, and we had a lot of Aurora images in that meeting. And if it was clear, we might be getting some more Aurora pictures, because it sounds like the next few nights might be good for Auroras. In November, we had Jim Johnson gave a talk about his RASA, and we also, that you may remember that meeting, we started a little bit late so we could all get pictures of this comet, C2023A3 Susin-Chan Atlas. December, we had our annual visit from Anna O'Grady, Dr. Anna O'Grady, talking about her research in yellow supergiant binaries, and we're expecting to have her again visiting this December coming up. January, we had Yusuf Zazu talking about using AI in astronomy. We had a members meeting in February with Sue Hart, John Peddle, and Randy presenting. March, we had Bethany Downer, and we also had just had a lunar eclipse, so we had lots of nice pictures about lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse, Bethany Downer was talking about her work in communications with the space telescopes. April, we had Kate Murphy talking about our collaboration with the Geo Center, which if you haven't seen it, hopefully you'll get a chance to see the exhibit that's been set up there. In May, we had Dr. Hilding Nielsen from the physics department here talking about some things he ran into at some conferences. In June, we had Dr. Catherine Niche talking about Dragonfly, which is a helicopter that's going to Titan. And in September, last month, we talked about our summer activities. So one of the things we had last year that was quite important for all of us was the astroimaging contest. And I'd like to thank again our sponsors, Hibernian Management and Development Company and Ontario Telescopes. And just to remind you, Greg Baggs won the landscape. Bernard Day won the solar system category with this image of the sun. Jim Johnson won the deep sky category with these dark nebulae. And then the overall favorite was Bernard Day with the Witch Head Nebula. And honorable mentions, we had John Peddle's view of fog coming in over the city from Signal Hill. We're all acquainted with fog. Chris Stevenson's Mars Past Opposition, and Bernard Day's one for overall, but was an honorable mention for Deep Sky. So with the overall category, things can get a little bit convoluted. And Greg Baggs' Flame Nebula and Horsehead Nebula, stuff going on around Allen Attack for overall favorite. And Jim Johnson's, again, a switch. So this one won Deep Sky and was an honorable mention for overall. And another one from Jim, the Cocoon Nebula, for an honorable mention. Sadly, we lost some members, some more current, one more current, one older member. So lots of us remember Rick Golding, and that was, I guess, just about a year ago now. And another former member that passed away was Michael Dwayne Steckley. Here are some pictures from the that Patricia Haynes, one of his friends, took during the 2024 solar eclipse, and he donated this Dobsonian, which we now have and has been put to use already. We had other activities. We had a members only observing session on October 9th. Last fall, we had 4 members only planetarium shows that Gary hosted for us at the Marine Institute. So search for the edge of the solar system, black holes, exoplanets, and galaxies. Robert Duggan and myself represented the group at the Eastern Newfoundland Science and Technology Fair across the road. And as I've already mentioned, we were quite involved in a collaboration with Kate Murphy and people at the Geo Centers, helping to update their display, and they were highlighting some of our stuff. We put the Northcott telescope there as an in-kind contribution. We had a series of public observing events. That's actually a pretty good list. I'm going to go through them all individually, but very quickly. They weren't all clear skies, but that's a fair bit of activity for a group of our size. So in the fall, we had International Astronomy Day, about 100 visitors. So that was last October. just a little over a year ago. And here's some pictures. So there was a bit of cloud, but we did see some things. You can see some of the telescopes getting set up and some of the people gathering there. And then in February, a few of us went out to Glovertown. Let's see, Doug, Gary, and me, I guess. Was that it? Looks like it. And you can see a nice clear sky, but it was fairly cold. And we used 2 of the Terra Nova Park Dobsonians, and I took one, and -15. It wasn't a big crowd, but the people who were there, I think, really enjoyed it. We had a partial solar eclipse the end of March, and this is what it looked like. So, but the Geo Center had what they call a sunblock party from 7 to noon, and so while there were a few of us outside standing, sadly, beside our solar telescopes, inside they were streaming views of the solar eclipse from other places, and I think it was actually quite a nice event. May, we had International Astronomy Day. So here, Craig and Randy and Chris setting up in the lobby. A few of us outside, you can see that that is not a blue sky, and you can see it's, except for Gary, who's pretending it's not cold. It was cold. So we didn't really see much that day, but Randy represented us on this global star party, probably that's online somewhere, but
Will be.
have they done a lot more of those, or is
Oh yeah, it's 1 a week.
1 a week? Okay. And then June 3rd, we had an event at the Geo Center, which was essentially the official unveiling of the updated exhibit. And Dr. Ivan Booth, Dr. Penny Morell, Dr. Hildy Nielsen did a question and answer. And then Dr. Susan Redmond, who was sort of on her way to JPL at the time, talked about her balloon astronomy. And it turned out we did get a little bit of moon viewing afterwards. So surprisingly, it wasn't clear when we went in, but when we came out in the evening, it was clear, and there were a couple telescopes set up. And that was one of our events. In June, we helped with the Family Fun Day at the Johnson Geo Center, and it was indeed nice and clear. We had a few solar telescopes out. There were lots of people, including tourists, coming by, and you see some of the solar telescopes. We had our Butterpot Star Party, which I talked about at the last meeting, beginning of August. You see some of the telescopes set out on the field behind the comfort station, at least 100 visitors, lots of copies of the Night Sky Almanac, courtesy of Firefly Books distributed. And there's another view of the field with some of the telescopes and some of the people who were there with Chris's 22-inch. And then Terra Nova National Park Night Sky Celebration, August 22nd, 24th. And that started with a talk by David Saunders. And I'll say so. We're hoping to get him next month, but we're still working on that. The first night, there was no viewing outside, but lots of people in for exhibits inside the activity center at the Newman Sound. And then Saturday night, it was clear. We got a nice crowd, about 80 visitors, to Sandy Pond for some dark sky observing, and you can see a few of the telescopes set out before it's gotten completely dark. And there was a moose there, which Gary got up close and personal with the moose, right? And then just a few weeks ago, we combined Fall International Astronomy Day and International Observe the Moon Night, and I'll say a bit more about that when we get into our regular meeting. But that was at the Geo Center, and you can see that it was a big success. Lots of people, a few hundred visitors, at least a dozen members and some non-member telescopes. And so those were our public observing events. There were presentations to outside groups. Gary does a lot of the heavy lifting with that. So lots of planetarium shows for outside groups, plus a presentation for cruise ship passengers. So where did you do that? Did you go on the cruise ship, or
Yeah, downtown.
you actually went? Cool. Did they give you something to eat?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Gary didn't offer that to anybody else to do, but that's fine. I'm happy for Gary to do that.
Well, it was,
That sounds like it was a hardship assignment, right?
oh, yeah, they called me up that afternoon to come down.
Okay. So Gary's famous around the world. So school talks, the scout camp. Robert and I went to St. Bon's in May. Doug, Robert, and me went to Camp Delight in July. Not clear, but we still put on a bit of a show. A few media interviews. I was interviewed a year ago on VOCM about some things, and I was interviewed, or I appeared on CTV in December about Saturn's rings, but I was basically just filler, which was fine. Ashley Brauweiler interviewed me in January about the Parade of Planets, and then Gary has done a number of interviews. He's on the speed dial at CBC and VOCM, including one just before our event in September, right?
And yeah, one day did a free interview, had it all done can, and the fire started.
Right. Okay. So there's, yeah, one interview that happened, but nobody heard. And we, I hope everybody who's a member is aware of the RASC NL talk group. I promote it whenever I get a chance. I think there's about 35 members. There were 3,500 postings last year. It's a good exchange of information, lots of photos. And Jim Johnson hosted a number of Google Meets. Thank you very much, Jim. And so that's the end of the president's report. So the next one up is the treasurer's report. So Jim, you can stand here and just there. I've tipped it up so we don't have to go through all of that nonsense.
All righty. So I'm just going to quickly run through our financial report for the year October 1st, 2024 to September 30th, 2025. I'll open it up to any questions after we're done.
So I'll invite Randy Dodge down to do that.
So, I find it very difficult to get accurate stats from the national because we don't have a fixed membership year. When you join as your membership year, that's something they started a number of years ago, but a lot of us have an October 1st membership year. So we have lots of people renewing, expiring. So that's the best I can do. So roughly 61 active members when I did this. I think 3 people renewed on the very next day. So that's what you can do about that, right? Ignore those percentages. So what am I doing, Mike? Just,
Yeah, just as long as your cursor's on, just use the wheel.
so up until recently, middle of September, we had what they call the grace period. So they would send a notice out to you that your membership is expiring, please renew. And if you didn't renew by your expiry date, they gave you a 2 or 3 month grace period. So you were still technically a member and you could renew your membership without a break, right? They did away with that. And now they're just sending you 2 notices to say, pay up now, pay up now, pay up now, right? So, so I have a list of our members here. just identify yourself. And I did this to show a couple of people renewed twice in the 1 year. I think some of that might have been if you renewed when you got your first notice, but you didn't actually expire till a couple of months later. And then this year you expired or on your date. So some people show they have two expiries, two renewals, right? So you can see these, right? This is a family group. What's that?
Why am I also Patrick?
You're not.
No. What was the question?
Oh, why is, well,
Why
Chris
am I
was
there?
thinking he's grouped with Pat O'Shea.
No,
The spaces don't mean.
I gapped around the people who had doubles, not the, like there's a double, but
Oh,
you're on the edge of a double. How's that?
gotcha.
So this again, Yolanta. So if anybody can offer an opinion as to otherwise, why you have two renewals in 1 year?
No, that must be.
Sorry. I can't read the chat, so whoever's chatting us. So these are our members. These are our newest members. That would be Michael Trin, Ernest, AJ, and his son Ezekiel, and Kim Dunphy is a new member in Corner Brook, but she's in town a lot, and she's hoping to be here for the November meeting. These are the people who technically have retired or left us. Rick Golding passed away, unfortunately. So Phil McCausland bounces back and forth between us and Ontario every 5 years or so. And I don't know what happened to Paul Piercy. Brent Sargent, I think, moved to Grand Bank or something. So, and Kelly was the part of Rick. And some of these other people, we didn't know who they were anyway. We never met them. So, but they may come back again. As I say, some of these expiries were the middle of September. They may come back in October. So, right?
But who's John and people are equivalent. So I have a lot of doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions about that? Can you check what the chat was? I don't know.
Okay.
In case there's a question upon the chat.
So how many members total do we have?
About 61 or so, right? It's about
We've had a big
64.
increase in.
It's 64 today, right? But that'll drop down to 50 in August, right? When everybody's renewals come up. What was it?
No, they were just, Marcellus said double adjacent, and
Whatever that is.
Dave Bourgeois was talking about the food.
Okay, any other questions about the membership report?
You had total membership 278, so is
Is that forever?
That is some metric of the people who've passed through us. I wouldn't put much stock in that. Because when I go and look at the stats, I've been a member for 55 years, but they have me there as two groups. So there's double records in some cases. So there's also some, before they got the current membership system, they had another system and they had some trouble importing names and things. But so that's probably a good estimate, you know, a couple of 100, 300. Because as I'll mention in the history, for the first 20 years, we didn't have more than 20 people, right? So there were slack times, right, Gary? So it's only now that we're starting to get more people, right? Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll ask Doug Rushi to come down again and do the LPA DSP report. So this is the committee report.
All right, back again. So the LPA and DSP committees are, the LPA is the main committee, the DSP is a sub.
You should say what they stand.
Indeed, they are the Light Pollution Abatement Committee and the Dark Sky Preserve Committee. So there have been no meetings of the Light Pollution Abatement Committee. Now on to the DSP, the Dark Sky Preserve Committee. Basically, that's me and Mike by default as president. And we have had 2 DSP-related events in the past year, which have both been mentioned in the previous reports by Mike. So a Dark Sky Preserve is Terra Nova National Park, and that park is committed to encouraging light pollution abatement and in the surrounding areas. So in February, we had a observing session in Glovertown with Terra Nova National Park. So that was one event, and then the annual night sky celebration in August. It's another one of the events associated with that. So the DSP committee also contacts Terra Nova National Park from time to time to discuss lighting issues in the park and training opportunities for their staff and that kind of thing. So DSP is going on pretty good. Light Pollution Abatement Committee, we could be reformed again. We will be reformed again after the elections. And so I'd encourage anyone with interest in light pollution abatement, or even the Dark Sky Preserve as well in Terra Nova National Park, to volunteer when we make the call after the elections. And that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, and is there someone from the observatory committee that could say a few words about, since something has now happened?
I can say a few words.
Okay,
Just
I
for
would,
my.
I would say.
okay.
He is the chair.
On walls. Yeah, so as observatory or as,
Here's the microphone if you want to just.
sorry. Yeah, as observing director, responsibility for observatory actually falls there. But we created a committee to for the build of the observatory. And as many members, especially longtime members know, we always wanted to build a dome out in Butterpot Park, and we almost had one. We built a platform for it, but financially it fell through. Couldn't afford to get a dome. So about 2 years ago, I think, was it Jim, Chris, about 2 years ago, we decided to go ahead with a roll-off roof, right? So, and Jim already had a roll-off roof. So based on what he had done and also on, I suppose expertise within the group as a whole, we moved ahead with trying to go that route. And eventually we got around to that, and we took on John Nugent as a member in the committee as well. And he's a licensed carpenter, which was of a great benefit to the project. So just recently, as Jim already mentioned, we started that, and I don't know how much more will get completed in this year. I did step down as the committee chair this past summer, feeling that after 10 years I had enough swings and misses that we could use some other point of view, perhaps. So Jim is actually the chair of that observatory committee now, and like I think that we were hoping to get more done before this year is out, but a lot of that is going to depend on the weather, probably mostly, I would say at this point, and of course on availability of ourselves to be able to go there. Now I did put together last spring. I asked the general membership for a show of hands for who might want to be involved in the observatory build, shall we say. But we haven't had to call on anybody. yet because, well, it is a small structure, and with John now on side as well, with his expertise being a licensed carpenter and with lots of experience, we haven't had any necessity for that. Not to say that going forward there won't be some opportunities for somebody to lend a hand. Yeah, and we don't know. I don't think everything has been totally decided on it. You kind of learn things as you go along. That one of the things that's left now up in the air is perhaps whether or not we'd be able to get power to the building. So we may need a few hands with picks and shovels yet. Yeah, solar power would be good. But I mean, the whole area, all of the power that is available there is solar.
Solar power, I'm providing panels.
Okay,
And,
Yeah.
and for, I don't know if in either of the comments, it's been mentioned that this is in Butterpot, but not in the campground area, in the
yes,
upper area near, not at the ranger's office, but sort of behind that,
yes,
where their utility stuff is.
yes. And I think it's typically been called the carpenter shop area and also the ski shack area.
Yeah.
So it's a utility yard, basically, is where it is. Well, yeah, members only. That's what the observatory is going to be for, obviously, and because it's before the kiosk, so it has to be members only for since we're the only ones that would have, I guess, the license to access the area. Anyway, Jim, you want to have a word too, since you're newly appointed to the. No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, that covers all the reports.
Progress pictures on the dock list, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, there's, Chris has been out and done a little bit beyond the picture that we saw from Jim. But there isn't a roof yet.
There are 2 windows and a door standing. Doesn't look significant.
Okay, so, I'll call on Randy. I guess it's now time for the election. Okay. We can't really access this for the Zoom meeting though. This doesn't connect to the Zoom.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
Camera at one point down the top.
Give it a try. Let's see.
So we have a couple of people who were on the Zoom meeting. How come that's not hooked up to?
Oh, there we are.
Ta-da.
Something's happening. We're not getting any light, but
Okay, that's okay. We're all be
There we are.
Whoa, whoa, look up.
okay, and Zoom is. Okay, so
Cover up that coffee stain.
okay, so people that are online, people online are just gonna have to see it from Randy's camera. I can turn my camera there so that it's.
Normally we have someone to conduct the elections. He couldn't be here tonight. So I'm gonna do it quick as possible. So. Normally what we've been trying to do is prepare a slate of nominees that hopefully shortens what we got to do here tonight. Our Constitution allows nominations from the floor. So here are the people who have agreed to nominations. If you want to withdraw a nomination now, speak up. Speak up. Speak up. Okay, none. Check the,
Yeah, you want to be careful what the precedent set there.
I just want to check the check. Are there any nominations from the floor for any of these positions? Are there any nominations from the floor for any of these positions?
Anyone watching online?
I'm looking online.
Type quick.
You say it one more time?
Third call, any nominations from the floor? I should explain that I'm hoping next year to have a constitutional amendment to retitle some of these to directors instead of a fixed title like librarian. We're trying to sell the library, but those positions are a way to get on the executive, so we get your help and expertise and experience to get you more onto other things as time goes on. So Mark Pippi's agreed to be librarian, but reality is that's a junior joining the executive now. Hopefully he'll be president one day.
That was the route I took.
Yeah.
One year's librarian.
So seeing as there's no change in the nominations, I declare that all these people are elected by acclamation.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Randy. Okay, so I'm going to call the annual general meeting to a close. Thank you all. Yes.
Oh, I disagree with you.
Okay. That's a non-debatable motion, I guess. So Gary's made the motion. Thank you all for attending, and now I'm going to. I'm going to start by thanking everyone who served on the executive and helped with the activities of the center in the last year. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay, so now we're into the, I'd like to welcome any visitors, and we're open. You don't have to be a member to attend. You know, as anybody, and there may be people online too. I'm not seeing my list right now. Yeah, lots of people. I'm going to close the. So if you're a visitor, thanks for attending. You don't need to be a member to attend, but there are some benefits to being a member, and we've mentioned a few of them. There are some publications. The chat group is a very active exchange of ideas that's really worthwhile. Lots of mentorship and alerts and things like that. There are bulletins. Anyone can sign up for the weekly bulletin, and then members get the monthly bulletin. And I have some announcements. So tentatively, we're hoping to have David Saunders from, he's the Terra Nova National Park Visitor Experience Product Development Officer, talk about some of the stuff they're doing at Terra Nova. We're hoping to have him in November. We're still trying to arrange that because he's got props and wants to do it in person, but he needs some authorization for that. So if that doesn't happen in November, it'll happen another time, and we'll do something different in November. Gary is again offering a members only planetarium show Thursday, October 23rd. So that's next Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So a week, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. It's 7:30 instead of last time was 8:30. So this time it's 7:30. Marine Institute 3214. So up the funny staircase past the deep sea diver, and it's called Search for Dark Matter. There will be a new astro imaging contest I expect it'll be much the same way it ran last year. That seemed to work. So January to the end of March. And I think the way that we displayed and did the voting seemed to work, so we'll do that again. You've already heard about the end of the grace period for membership, so please renew before you expire. We just heard people who get the Mun Newsline, just heard that they're going to change I don't know if it's a change or if they're just going to be more careful about it and whether anything will happen or not. But officially, this building in fall and winter is going to close at 10 o'clock. That shouldn't be a problem if you're in the building. After it closes, they do let you out. In the spring, it's going to close at 6. So that's going to be an issue for us. But it just means that I have to ask physics, and we're sort of adopted by physics anyways. And so physics will have to ask for the building to be open on our meetings for May and June, probably not April, because I think that'll still be exam period. The tunnels are open until 2 o'clock. So you can get into the tunnels from from the basement. So if you want to get back to music, you can go down, get into the tunnels from, is it this corner? No, maybe. Yeah, I used to live here. Anyways, down the basement, somewhere on this side, you can get into the tunnels, and then you're on your own for finding your way to music. It's if you've never navigated the tunnels before, good luck. But you can make it through, and somewhere over there you would be able to get out.
But if the science building closes, you won't be able to come up from the tunnel, right?
You won't be able, so I think what you'll be able to do though is there is at the end of the science building, so you won't be able to go into the science building, but there is an exterior door on the tunnel between the science building and
Next to the elevator.
yeah, somewhere in that corner of the science building. So when we get to that point, it may happen tonight. If anybody has to stay in the tunnel until tomorrow morning, send me an email. But at some point, I may even do it tonight. I may wander over, just scout out a route and make sure that it's still possible to do. Okay. I think once you get into the tunnels, you can get out somewhere, but it may not be where you want to get out. Okay. And Randy, do you want to say a few words about calendars? Okay.
Most people know that
Yell.
we've been selling the RASC national calendar every year. We haven't been able to get any pictures in the damn thing, but we pre-ordered, as we were required to do in summer. We pre-ordered 65 calendars, and they'll be for sale minimum price. We don't make money on calendars. We aim not to make money, which the National doesn't like. They want us to make money on the calendars, so they want you to sell them at the price that's printed on the calendar. We print them for, we get a discount price when we buy in bulk. Anyhow, these calendars will be here in about 3 weeks. So next meeting, we should have the calendars for sale. And then additionally, for $85, Jim has put together a calendar and we passed around. That's all local images. And a lot of these are taken from the after imaging contest. So get your entries in, right? It's a beautiful calendar. I think we're pretty much finished on the edit, right?
Yeah. A couple of the images are going to change. So
yeah.
What's on that one?
And that'll probably be about $25, I think, right? Just so much. And certainly anybody who's got a picture of them needs to buy 3 or 4 or 5, right? Send them around and get them autographed.
Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for this year, I think some of us are probably going to buy both calendars. then we'll have to think about what to do next year. We may be,
I hadn't realized, by the way, I always complained that the national calendar was fixated on moon phases. But apparently the sailors like that aspect of the calendar. For some reason, sailors want to know when the moon's up. So is there something else that are?
Astronomers are obsessed with moon phases because they
okay, thank you very much, Randy. So I've already talked a little bit about our event a couple of weeks ago at the Geo Center. It was a clear night. Lots of people, and I showed some of the pictures. I've just got a few extra pictures here. So this was the setup, and there were a couple of these kinds of telescopes. This is the telescope that was donated by the Clark, the late Alan Clark and his wife. This gives you an idea as it got dark what the crowd started to look like, and I showed this picture during my report. So it was one of those events where a clear night came together with a nice moon and good publicity. The publicity on VOCM, I think, made a huge difference. So thank you to VOCM for that.
Yeah. We had 300 copies of the almanac that we gave out at our events this year, so.
Yeah, so we did. Oh, and so the 2026 almanac is now available. I just bought one at Chapters, and since they're giving us free almanacs to hand out, I would encourage people, if they see the almanac, or you can also get it from the RASC website. I think it'd be nice to give back to Firefly by buying the current almanacs.
Amazon had them as well.
Amazon as well.
There's a new name on it this year. It's the Night Sky, I think.
Yeah, it looked a little bit different, but it's the same. And they're cheap. They're $16.95 or something like that. Very, very reasonable. So I'm now going to call on Randy again. He's going to tell us about something that was happening 60 years ago. I think Sergeant Pepper put together a band or something.
Well, it struck me that we haven't had a birthday celebration for the center. We missed 50, we missed 55, so we might as well do 60. So when I first saw that, 60 years was coming up, I started to look on what was happening back then. I wasn't even born then, right?
Yeah. I was born.
So
Free for 100.
the planetarium at the Fisher's College always had a celestial navigation course. So they were the inspiration of interest in astronomy, and Dora Russell as well. So a few people got together. A little bit later, I'll show you that it was actually, they had a class astronomy club, and that convinced Dr. Strong, Captain Strong, and they wrote the National saying, is there any chance we could become a center? And I don't think they had at that time any requirements for a number of members and all sorts of things. I just remember back in 65, there was no internet, there was no social media, none of that stuff. So this is taken from the book Looking Up by Peter Broughton. Peter Broughton looked at the history of the society and put together all kinds of notes about where centers came from. That book is on the website, the RAC website. You can look at it. So I found a report in the Daily News from November of '65. And a report of the Amateur Astronomical Society had gotten together, decided that they wanted to do a group, met again in November and formed a constitution, and then wrote to the National Society begging to become a group. It's hard to read. I can doctor some of this up, but it was Dr. Woods, Captain Strong, Mrs. Doda Russell, Dora, and Mr. Burridge. I certainly knew Mr. Woods and Burridge. I don't know that I ever met Captain Strong. No.
Strong.
So,
Captain properly.
yeah.
Both properly.
And as it says here, we were going to have classes in telescope making. I remember back then you just couldn't order a telescope on Amazon, right? So if you wanted a scope, you had to make one. So there's some other star identification, all the usual things, astrophotography, educational matters, on goes, right? So then I also discovered Gary wrote an article sent to the journal and got published. That's online if you want to read as well. And that's where they mention the Student Campus Astronomy Club. That's where I got that information from there as well. And that's what the old planetarium instrument looked like. I think you got that shoved away in the back corner in the new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're much better off now than that thing did. I couldn't find anything in that planetarium, Gary. All the stars were the same size.
Did so on drama. I used to on the drama.
Yeah. So as I say, next month I'll talk if I can find more data about what happened at the November meeting where we decided to become a member, a group. And if I can find the letters that went to national, I'll try that. And in January, we'll have a little celebration, maybe a bit of cake or something, right? And I've got some of the background information and some of the stuff that we did along the way. Some of the big things that we did. Comet Halley, for example, was a big deal back then. And even though it wasn't a big deal. So
Mars off the table.
yeah.
So Randy?
Yeah.
I was around here, obviously. I did exist back then.
Mhm.
And I'm trying to think, how did like-minded people find each other back then? Was it
Well,
in the, it had to be newspapers or
Well,
flyers or something?
Well, as I said, the university was still just had moved out of Parade Street, I think, in 65, 66.
Yeah.
So as I said, there was no social media. We'd had to pay for advertising in the papers. And you know, $20 or $30 for a little tiny ad about a meeting. And that's as much as you could hope. There was no advertising on the radio or TV, any of that sort of stuff. And we didn't really have much of an affiliation with MUN back then. It was College of Fisheries. So we couldn't come in and put posters up or anything like that. And there was no mention in any classes as such. And, you know, I think we were only about 20 members for a long, long time. It was very, now we did benefit from MUN. Any professors coming through for lectures or whatever, we could go to them. Very occasionally we got a meeting out of one of them if they were lucky. Now and then we'd get somebody from national to come down. Dora went to her first General Assembly, half paid for by the Toronto Centre, by the way. And they gave us the Northcott telescope as part of that. And someone actually brought it down and we got a lecture out of that as well. So I've got the photo archive, and we had a person in Lab City, and she brought down a 3-inch Unitron and set up at the Fisher's College one night. The first time we'd ever seen a big telescope, right? You can imagine a 3-inch refractor. So Beardsley, wasn't it? Margaret Beardsley? Yeah. So
3-inch refractor was big back
that was a Unitron. It was very nice. Yeah. So
No, thank you very much.
more to come. More to come.
Okay, so there were some clear nights over the last month, and we have some observations to report. So David Coffey, I don't know if Oh, David's online. Nice shot of the sun from, so a lot of these are around September 21st. October 2nd, Randy had, some shots right around sunset, so this presumably before sunset, and then, as the trees were getting,
Planning for the astro imaging contest.
okay.
That's it.
Trying to get them calendar.
And, 3-day moon, that's, quite an image there from the sea star from Randy. Another shot of the moon from Randy, and blown up, Mare's Serenitatis. So that's this one right here. So Sea of Serenity, Sea of Tranquility. And so there's Serenity and Tranquility, and Nubium, which means clouds, right? See clouds. And I put together these two pictures that Randy did to make sort of a mosaic showing the Mare Imbrium. These are all October 2nd. And Greg Baggs did a series of shots. These are actually screenshots. So he had this the same setup he used on September 27th at the Geo Center. Basically his Malin cam onto a monitor, and then these are just pictures he took of the monitor, and I cropped them so that they were rectangular. So the Copernicus crater, Imbrium and the Sea of Serenity, the Tycho crater and Mare Nubium, and there's Serenity and Tranquility. And then Randy took a very sharp picture of the moon on October 7th, where you can see all this stuff, very nice in a full moon, and push the sharpening a little bit. And so I actually used this for the next two slides. I didn't tell Randy I was going to do that, but Gary did some lovely sketches, and so I blew up Randy's picture and picked out some of the features here. So Endymion, this is the sketch that Gary did, and I hope that actually is it there. And Atlas and Hertz. So this is Randy's picture that I just blown up and cropped a little bit. So the Mare Frigoris, Serenitatis, Tranquillitatis, Fecunditatis, Prisium, and Hercules and Atlas. So there is a nice book by Robert Reeves, which I know Gary's got because he told Cynthia about it, and then I got it. That is called The Photographic Atlas of the Moon, also by Firefly. And if you're at all interested in the moon, I highly recommend it. And that's how I sort of found my way around it. So he takes a little chunk of the moon and then talks about the craters there and has beautiful pictures of them. So, but we're really talking here about Gary's sketch, which is a sketch of this, an excellent, very nice work. And then Gary also did Petavius, which I think is down here. So Langrenus, forget what that one is, and then Petavius. So this is the same view of the moon, but now I just added these two labels to it. And so there's Gary's sketch of Petavius and these four little spikes in the middle. You can't even see them in this picture, but
It's like a runway tool.
yeah, and they call that is that a rill or yeah, basically a kind of a valley running through there. And then Robert used his refractor October 7th. Got a shot of the I guess I was still waxing at that point. I did a shot of Venus Must have been the night or the morning I got up early to try and get the comet. And it doesn't show much. Venus was still very close to the horizon, but it's not quite a circle because you're seeing phases on Venus. I did Jupiter the same night. I was using an ED80 and a Uranus C, doing a video. And I did Saturn earlier in, I'm sort of working my way out through the solar system. So Saturn here, we've got several pictures of Saturn. So we're almost at the point where the rings are edge on. This is Tim Carrick and Sue Hart in Sue's observatory with a Celestron 9.25 inch. You can see that aperture helps a lot. Lovely image. Again, third week in September. And then David Coffey got Saturn with the Sea Star, and Richard got Saturn using, I guess, one of the center scopes, the 10-inch Dob. And this is significant because I guess this was your first, just about your first image attaching a DSLR and a Barlow, and so he, I know that it was a bit of an adventure for Richard figuring out how to screw together all the little black tube type things to actually get it to come to focus. And I think you were at that for a few weeks before you finally got there. So congratulations on that. Jim got a picture of Comet Lemon, Comet C2025A6 Lemon, and in September that would have been early morning, right?
Yeah.
And I tried it also in October, and that was early morning. And this is one where I did comet stacking in Deep Sky Stacker. So the comet, you click on the comet, or it identifies a comet, and it holds the comet still so that the stars streak a little bit. And you can see a bit of the tail there. And then Randy got it. This would have still been, 360. So this was still a morning object in beginning of October. And then Randy had a 2 comet night. So this is C2025A6 is pretty close to Polaris. So it's almost circumpolar, so it can be there. It sets in the evening and then rises again before after midnight. And so this was this one's A6, and this was in the evening. And then this is C2025 R2 Swan, very low in the southwest, or and
It's traveling very fast though.
yeah. Is it going to get better?
Yeah.
Okay, so something to look forward to. And this one's going to get better in the evening. Well, it's always going to be close to the edge of something. Okay. Jim sent us this picture of sunset on the banks. So we did have, it was clear here, but not there. And so now, oh, that should be deep sky here. Screw that up. Okay, so some of the deep sky images we got, one was the blue snowball nebula, and I think this was from Tim and Sue, right?
Yeah.
And so to orient you, there's Cygnus and Cepheus and Cassiopeia, so it's in here, and it's a planetary nebula. So just to remind you, that's a star that's the size of the sun up to maybe 8 times, somewhere in between there. When it's gone through its phase of using up hydrogen in the core. Then it's using up the helium as it gets and becomes a red giant. Once it gets to the end of its red giant phase, it's sort of puffed up. That's the giant part. It's cooled. That's the red part. The outer layers sort of get far enough away that they're not strongly held by, the gravity gets weak as they get farther away. The outer layers eventually just escape, and the core is left behind as a white dwarf. And for this planetary nebula, the white dwarf is about 0.6 solar masses. So it must have been a star that was a couple solar masses or something like that.
Say a few things. It was, the apparent size is actually about 35 by 40 or so. It's actually appears smaller than Jupiter.
Yep.
It's very
So
small.
there it is.
Very bright.
You can see the white dwarf in the middle. So that's quite an impressive shot. That's not a big object.
And it's interesting fact is that the blue color of the nebula is actually oxygen getting from UV light to causing the oxygen to give off a bluish kind of like greenish tinge. Quite often you get hydrogen alpha, which is excited by UV light, but in this case it's oxygen.
And the illumination is coming from the white dwarf, I guess.
Yeah, you can see some detail along the edge. I think those are reddish detail. It's more like caused by probably H alpha. I think it's reddish colored nebula.
Okay, and having a 9-inch telescope probably helps with that.
Yeah, and I used live stacking and sharp cap, which I'm not sure if anybody ever tried that, but it's really
I've
incredible.
started trying it a little bit.
Yeah, it's really works well. And I recently tried it on video on Planet as well. And, you can actually do it with planets as well.
Okay, thanks.
It's quite nice.
Okay, and then NGC 7640, that's a barred spiral galaxy. So there's the Andromeda Galaxy, there's Cygnus, there's that's Pegasus, right?
Yes.
And I guess Andromeda's some of the bits over here. They always draw them sort of connected, which is I find very confusing. Oh, yeah, we don't actually have that one. So, but we do have down here, so there's still Pegasus, but now we're on the other side of Pegasus. So getting pretty close to the horizon for some of us. The Superman galaxy or propeller galaxy, 105 million light years away, a lot of star formation, and there it is there. The Superman galaxy, this is from Jim from October 2nd and 3rd, and using his 9.25. And the Wizard Nebula, we saw an image of the Wizard Nebula from Bernard Day. It's an emission nebula about 8,500 light years away. So there's Draco, Ursa Minor, so there's Polaris down there, Cepheus and Cygnus to sort of orient you. And there's an image from Jim Johnson of the Wizard Nebula, a lovely image. Again, with the and you used a couple different filters to get that. Narrowband filters. So
There's a color on that one.
a lot of work.
Bubble.
And this is the Hubble palette then? Yeah.
10 hours. Yeah.
And the Deerlick visual group. So again, here's Cygnus, and this is the Deerlick and Stephan's quintet. So the quintet, these are galaxy clusters. They aren't NGC 7331, I guess is not. They aren't actually a gravitationally bound galaxy cluster. They're more a group, a visual group. But they're about 300 light years away. Is that right? That doesn't sound, is that right? Yeah, that's got something wrong there. Anyways, there's Jim's picture of that. And so NGC 7331 is the foreground galaxy, and you can see some of the other, lots of galaxies in the background. And there's a supernova, I think, is it right about there? So it's a little hard to see because it's sort of backlit by the core of the galaxy, but it's there. And Jim did a couple of treatments of this, and I think I picked your second one for this one.
Let's start with supernova. Just back in July, we obviously know it didn't go back in July. It was however many million years ago.
Yeah,
It's one of those first novas.
and
Probably after giving it.
I tried the Elephant Trunk Nebula and found out it was probably not the right. So again, here's Cygnus and Cepheus, so that's a lot of action in around there. And there's the sort of elephant trunk part, but that's not really a suitable target for my kind of setup. Okay. You lose a lot of the detail, or you lose a lot of the stuff around it, though. Here's the summer triangle, which it's still there, but it's on its way out. So Vega, Altair, and Deneb, which is the back end of Cygnus the Swan. And the North America Nebula is down here, including the feature that we should identify as the Gulf of Mexico. 2590 light years away. It's an emission nebula. There is some star forming region in there. And Greg Baggs did this image. And so there's the North America part of it. This was using an old lens and his Malincan camera. That's working very well for him. I think he said he hadn't used that lens for forever. Yeah, it's working pretty well. And of course, the Veil Nebula down here, it's a supernova remnant, so a star that was more than 8 solar masses, probably about 20 solar masses. Thousands of years ago, it exploded, basically used up, evolved, went through red giant phase, got to the point where, kept fusing elements in the center and in the core until it got to the point where it was making silicon and then iron, and that stage only lasts for a couple of days, and then basically the core can't support itself against gravity. It implodes and then explodes, and you end up with this beautiful sort of wispy remnant of the star drifting away. And there's East Veil, West Veil, and the triangular part, which used to be called Pickering's Triangle, but now people call it Fleming's Triangular Wisp. And Greg Baggs got a shot of the whole thing, again with that lens. So you can do a wide angle shot with that. So the two veils and the triangular bit in the middle. Gary did the West Veil with the Sea Star in October. Very nice. Oh, that's a Sea Star S50. Gary doesn't have a line on a new secret Sea Star. I just screwed up again.
30 plus is coming that Christmas.
Yep. I had a try at the Fireworks Galaxy. So Cygnus, Cepheus, and Draco. So right now that's up in the north. And that was my try at the Fireworks Galaxy. I was going to get more data on this the other night, but we had a discussion about how a few of us got fooled and set up, and then the clouds came, even though that wasn't the forecast. The Dumbbell Nebula is always popular. It's another planetary nebula. So Sagitta, sometimes you can make that out. Certainly if it's dark, you can make that out. Cygnus up here and Altair down here, so that's how you find the Dumbbell Nebula. So David Coffey did that with the Sea Star. Good work, David. Randy did it. This was actually the night we were all at the Geo Center for the Fall International Astronomy Day, also with the Sea Star. And I tried, this is not very far from the Dumbbell Nebula. An open cluster and an emission nebula in this region, and I had to try at that. Anyways, I wanted to see what it was. There's the emission nebula. There's the open cluster. Didn't really get enough data. And again, it was probably a little too big for the Uranus C camera. Has a fairly small sensor, and so I probably could have done a better job figuring out what that size was going to be. The Ring Nebula is also a planetary nebula. It's far away. Well, that galaxy, that doesn't mean, that's got nothing to do with this. That's a cut and paste. This is what happens when you reuse slides. But there's David Coffey did the Ring Nebula. And I found 3 galaxies around Draco. So there's Hercules, there's the Big Dipper. Draco is in the evening right now. Draco's above the Big Dipper in the northwest. And I found these 3 galaxies there, had some fun with them. 150 minutes. And the Rosette Nebula and the Rosette Cluster. Again, you have to get up early in the morning right now to see this, because Orion is still an early morning object. They're off to Orion's right. Well, depending on whether he's facing us or not, I guess it's hard to tell. But it's an ionized hydrogen region. There's new stars being formed, and this is Jim's picture of that. So the open cluster and the nebula. So lovely shot there, Jim. When I was up trying to get the comet at 4 in the morning, Orion was there, and Orion is really a winter object for us. The Orion Nebula is a star-forming region. So there's the belt of Orion. That's kind of the sword of Orion. And if it's dark enough, you can actually make out the Orion Nebula. It's sort of a little fuzzy glowing bit in the sky. And so that was just a few minutes, because I was doing that before I went over to try and do the comet. But I think we'll see lots of Orions over the winter. We usually do. And the Pleiades, Randy did the Pleiades, which is an open cluster, and there's dust, but the dust was not part of the cluster, apparently not related to the formation of those stars, but they are very hot stars. They're young, not billions of years old, more like tens of millions or hundreds of millions of years old. And one of the lovely things to see in the sky. So you can see some of the blue dust basically being illuminated by the stars behind. You get blue scattering.
That's only 18 minutes. That's
Yep.
long for all that.
Yeah, sea stars are pretty impressive. And the Heart and Soul Nebula, so there's Cassiopeia, the double cluster. So this is the sort of shallower, I think Cassiopeia is a W, that's the shallower point on the W. So off to this side is the double cluster, and close to that is the Heart and the Soul Nebula. So they're both emission nebulas. And Jim Stacy, hi Jim, did a couple of treatments of this. So Jim, do you want to talk a little bit about what you did with these 2 images?
Okay, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, this is with a particular setup that I've been working on for the last month or so. This particular image here is what I would call a natural color image of the Heart Nebula using the Optilong L-Enhance filter, which is a dual band filter that emphasizes H-alpha and in the red and a blue oxygen 3. I also have another filter, the Antlia tri-band filter, and I believe I don't know if this is a synthesis of those two data sets or not.
Yeah, I think this one is. I think that's what this one was, that you got the stars, not 2205, I think that's 2025. So I think the stars were from the beginning of September and the nebula was from later, and you put them together.
Yeah, that must be correct then. But I'm working towards a new rendition of this particular object. I have a recent dual band filter data set that I've added to this that emphasizes sulfur and oxygen. And I'm hoping to post that on RASC shortly.
Okay.
So these are two data sets, and I've got a third data set, which I've just finished processing.
And this one is the same. This is also the stars and that, but you used gradient exterminator, I guess, with this one.
Yeah, I've been evaluating these plugins, which I've seen others use to great effect. And so, yeah, I'm experimenting with the ability to basically remove the stars, enhance the nebulosity separately from the stars, and or add true color stars from another data set, for example. So these are all new techniques to me, and I'll have more to say about this on RASC.
Okay, and maybe you'll be saying something about it at a members meeting sometime.
Wonderful.
And okay, thanks a lot, Jim. And Greg Baggs using his lens. Oh, we got lots of chats here. I should have a look once in a while. Oh, after I'm finished this, David Bourgeois was I should have looked at the chats after Randy's talk about the history. I'm going to go back and look at David's chats about that. But Greg Baggs used his wide angle, this lens, which gives him more wide angle view to see the heart and the soul together. It's a nice shot. And Gary, I think, yeah, did the Triangulum galaxy. So there's the Andromeda galaxy, Cassiopeia, Andromeda, and there's Triangulum, and the Triangulum galaxy is off the point of the Triangulum constellation. It's the third largest member of our local group, but it's the smallest spiral galaxy in the local group. So the Milky Way is about 100,000 light years across, and this one's only about 60% of that for diameter. So there's Gary's Triangulum galaxy, and I think it's Jim did the Pac-Man nebula. It's an emission nebula, and there are some dark Bok globules, which are possible star formation regions, and that's very close to Cassiopeia. So that's where Pac-Man is. So Cassiopeia, Andromeda, and there's double cluster. So there's the Pac-Man nebula. So everybody recognizes, everybody knows who Pac-Man was. It's a video game. For those who don't, it was a video game character who was basically a circle that with a mouth that chased ghosts and little pill things. We had several shots of the Andromeda Galaxy, 2.5 million light years away. So there's Cassiopeia, Andromeda, and so you sort of follow, look at these stars and then follow them up. There's Andromeda. And so there's one from Greg Baggs with, is it M101 and M32? Now, I forget which one's which.
32 is the 201.
No?
That's the start.
Oh, okay.
Up.
Yeah.
That's 101.
That's 101.
So then it goes straight down back.
Okay, so it's sort of hidden in. Okay, thank you. So that was Greg, and there's Randy with the Sea Star, and John Nugent with Sea Star, but he used a 4-panel mosaic, which apparently you can do now with the Sea Star. Did a very nice job of it. And David Coffey did M31 with the Sea Star, and also caught lots of Starlink or some kind of satellite trails, and he actually numbered them in this overlay. And that's, I'm starting to find that too, especially things that are sort of in the north. Maybe a third of the frames will have a satellite somewhere in the frame, and maybe a quarter. NGC 7822, it's from Jim. That's again Cassiopeia, between Cassiopeia and Cepheus. It's a star forming region about 2,900 light years away. Lots of hydrogen alpha. This is with the RASC, which Jim told us about at one of the meetings last year. So this is a shorter focal length, so more 400 millimeter. And so it's an f2 telescope, so you get quite a wide field. There's a beautiful shot there. And that's the end of the observation reports. So I'll wrap up with, oh, no, we've got the sky this month. Now, I don't know if Craig has posted that, but.
Mouse, this work?
Yeah.
Okay, so most everybody has seen these documents in the past, just information, astronomical in nature. So there's a day-night cycle for October 15th, 2025. And the significant thing is how the change in the length of the day with the closing in of winter, unfortunately. But there are good things about it. I just don't know what they are. Longer nights, yeah. Still a lot of sunspot activity up there on the sun. So if you have solar filter, you know, just because it's not summer, don't mean that you can't enjoy some extra sun, some extra sunlight, and pick up on some of the activity up there. And planet roundup, the green indicates that it's fairly good for visibility and rise and set times, and the meridian. Who knows what a meridian is? Nobody? No? Well, that's when the highest point of that the object will achieve in our sky. And the moon, October 15th, as we can see, it is beginning to approach new moon, meaning no moon or no visible moon, I guess, and darkest nights for astronomy and viewing and photography, if you're into that. Comets, I just include two of note. Lemon, which we saw and C2025, which we saw earlier. So you can go to these websites and chase them down, find out where they are in the sky. Asteroids, same thing. There's four that top four, I guess, for magnitude, for how bright they are. None of these are visual, so they're all telescopic, right? And every month, the suggested observing objects change to a degree. These are just pulled out from a guy by the name of Dave Mitski, who happened to put together, you know, what's the brightest and maybe most interesting in the sky month by month. So you can, if you're so inclined, you can try and knock them all off and let us know. Challenge deep sky object would be this here, this Jones 1 PK 101. I can't remember what that's a designation for.
PK or planetary.
Right, okay. So it would not be something that would jump out at you, right? So hence the challenge deep sky part of it. And supernova, I haven't seen anything that's brighter than magnitude 15. What?
I checked on the blaze the other night.
Oh, did you?
Still nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah, it'll take every few days. There's a 12.8
Is there?
in the large transatlantic cloud, which we can't see.
Well, yeah, we can't see that one. No.
So
unless
there's
you're-
something.
If you happen to be booking a trip down south somewhere, or pack your scope. Meteor showers, so the next one's coming up would be the Orniths, the South Taurids, and the North Taurids. And it gives you a little information about it, but you're always best off to go to these URLs that are shown below to find out more information about them. Go ahead.
Robert, do you mind if I mention something?
Yes,
Currently, when you're talking about asteroids, we have a member in this room that has an asteroid named after him.
so we do.
So photographing, we should have a section each month. Where's Gary?
That would be interesting.
Well, photograph Gary.
Well, I wonder how, Gary, do you know how bright it gets? What kind of magnitude is on that object? How bright is Gary?
It's very dim, actually.
Oh, very good. Okay.
The closest application to it, if you're in Sydney, Nova Scotia, I think in December, the lecture, that's closest application in Newfoundland, where I get to cover a star.
You get to go through a star.
Yeah.
And that would be in Sydney.
Sydney,
Okay,
Sydney, Nova Scotia.
no, it's not too far away. Are you going?
No.
No. Okay, well, if you had to find yourself in Sydney, what was the date again?
I can't remember what the date is right
Oh.
now, Robert.
Well, we can look it up. Find out when Gary's going to a cult.
Actually, the meteor shower, the Orions, is very active. Last night, it was kind of interesting. There was like, I think we counted 7 in an hour last night, which was kind of hot. Usually at the peak, it's 21.
You had sky last night?
It was last night or the night before.
Okay, so the last night.
The last clear night.
Last clear night, yeah.
I was out.
Yeah, well, it's worthy to keep an eye out for it if you're in a position to
And-
observe.
And it's around new moon, so it'll be very good.
Yeah, that's right. With new moon, that's true because it's a darker sky, right? So you're able to pick out the dimmer streaks. Always interesting. And if you like following space station or other satellites that are up in the night sky, this is a sample here of dates that the International Space Station will be visible from here. For now until October the 23rd, but that's only a sampling. So actually this is skipped below here. So this website here, Heavens Above, you can find out reams of satellites. And if you wanted to, you could go out and catch the satellite as it went overhead and actually know what the satellite was and maybe even find out, what it does. So, this-
Stellarium usually updates itself about satellites.
Yeah.
I think you saw something fire up Stellarium and dial back to the time. you're
Yeah.
observing.
For those who don't know what Stellarium is, it's a planetarium program that happens to be free. Go ahead.
And runs on.
There's RASC's training sessions coming up towards the end of the month. That's the area.
Okay, so if you go to the Nationals
It's in
website,
the bulletin this week.
yeah, you can actually enroll in a training session or sessions for the use of Stellarium, which is a really good planetarium program.
It's very
And
intuitive as well. Just put it on there.
yeah, so really good suggestions there. You can read this online. It's on our website, of course, and I'm not going to go through it. It's about observing sessions that we have from time to time and some of the do's and don'ts.
We should probably get rid of the thing about physical distance.
Yeah, you're probably right. This came about because of COVID, of course, right? So yeah, I should knock that out. Okay, and that would be it for me.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And my apologies to David. I don't know if David's still on or not. Yeah, he is. When Randy was, we were talking about
Advertise.
yeah, advertisement. Let's see, last time. Okay, there's something about let's hope the cat doesn't type anything. I'm not sure what that was. Oh, okay, I'm puzzled about that. Anyways, David said, I heard about the center from a radio announcement when I was 12 or 13, I think. Marcellus said many clubs' social network was a landline. And Randy said, thanks for that, Dave. And David Bourgeois said it was probably 1980 or 1981. And I guess radio stations started doing announcements for nonprofit groups and such. So I was 14 or 15. Well, best I can remember, we were still meeting at the old Marine Institute. And the old Marine Institute was
College of Fisheries on Parade Street.
on Parade Street, okay.
This headquarters now.
And David said, looks good. Randy had referred to advertisements. Okay, so thanks a lot, David, for adding that. I'm sorry I didn't pick that up right after the talk. But with that, I'll just go back over the reminders. We're hoping to have David Saunders for our November speaker. If not, we'll maybe hit somebody that's here now to give us a talk. We'll see. We have a member planetarium show coming up a week from tomorrow at 7:30. The Marine Institute, Search for Dark Matter. There'll be an astroimaging contest coming up. Probably start accepting submissions January 1st. Randy told us about the renewal situation now, and we need to be aware that the buildings are officially going to close at 10 o'clock and find out if that has any effect. So with that, I call the meeting to an end. Thank everybody for coming out. And we have, for the people in the room, Randy has again provided lots of nice treats for the people at home. Well, find yourself something. But thank you very much. The folks at home, thank you for joining us. And I need to wrap up this meeting, the Zoom meeting, just about right now because there's somebody else going to want to use the Zoom. So thanks for coming, and I'm going to close it down now. Bye.
enterprise, so that's